The life of many people in South Sudan has been characterized by extreme hardships, stemming from a combination of factors such as conflict, poverty, poor infrastructure, and limited access to education and healthcare. South Sudan, which became an independent nation in 2011, has faced continuous challenges that have shaped the daily lives of its citizens, leading to widespread suffering. Here are some key aspects of life in South Sudan that contribute to the enduring misery. 1. Civil war and conflict. Since gaining independence, South Sudan has been embroiled in civil war, 2013 to 2018, and various forms of armed conflict between government forces and opposition groups. These wars have displaced millions of people, destroyed communities, and created a cycle of violence that disrupts any attempts at rebuilding. The war has caused widespread atrocities, including massacres, sexual violence, and recruitment of child soldiers, leaving a deep psychological and social impact on the population. 2. Displacement and refugees. Over 4 million people in South Sudan have been displaced, either internally within the country or as refugees in neighboring countries like Uganda, Sudan, and Kenya. This displacement results in overcrowded camps with poor living conditions and inadequate access to basic necessities like food, clean water, and sanitation. Families are separated, and many live in fear of returning to their homes due to the threat of violence. 3. Poverty and lack of infrastructure. South Sudan is one of the poorest countries in the world. While it is rich in oil, much of the wealth has been concentrated in the hands of a few, and the country's infrastructure is severely underdeveloped. Many parts of the country have no access to roads, electricity, or reliable communication systems. Basic services like healthcare and education are either absent or extremely limited, with most people relying on NGOs and aid agencies for survival. 4. Food insecurity and famine. Chronic food insecurity is a major problem in South Sudan. The ongoing conflict has disrupted agriculture, leading to famine-like conditions in some areas. Millions of people face hunger, with many children suffering from malnutrition. The combination of economic instability, climate change, droughts and floods, and the effects of war have left people struggling to grow enough food or access it through markets. 5. Healthcare crisis. The healthcare system in South Sudan is inadequate, with very few trained medical professionals and a lack of medical supplies. People in rural areas often have to travel long distances to access even basic medical care, and many cannot afford the costs. Malaria, cholera, and tuberculosis are common diseases in South Sudan, while HIV/AIDS remains a significant public health challenge. Due to the lack of facilities and resources, many people die from preventable diseases. 6. Gender-based violence. South Sudan has one of the highest rates of gender-based violence in the world. Particularly during times of conflict, women and girls are at risk of rape, forced marriage, and abduction. In conflict zones, sexual violence is often used as a weapon of war. Women and girls also face severe challenges accessing education and healthcare, and many are tasked with collecting water and firewood in dangerous areas. 7. Education crisis. The education system in South Sudan is in shambles. A large proportion of the population is illiterate, especially among women and girls. Schools are either destroyed or have very few resources. Teachers are often poorly trained and underpaid, and the cost of education is prohibitive for many families. The lack of education exacerbates cycles of poverty, and many children are forced to work or live in camps rather than attend school. 8. Political instability and corruption. Political instability and corruption have been key drivers of South Sudan's suffering. The country's leaders have often prioritized personal and political interests over the welfare of the people. This has led to a lack of accountability, ineffective governance, and mismanagement of resources, including oil revenues that could have been used for development. Tribal and ethnic divisions have also exacerbated the violence, and the fragile peace agreements often break down, leading to renewed fighting and displacement. 9. Climate change and environmental factors. South Sudan is heavily affected by climate change, which exacerbates food insecurity and displacement. Floods and droughts are becoming more frequent, destroying crops and causing widespread suffering. These environmental challenges add another layer to the ongoing misery. Conclusion: life in South Sudan for many is marked by survival rather than thriving. The population is trapped in a cycle of poverty, violence, and instability.